Hey everybody, welcome to the Hamakua Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany and today we are canning tomatoes. There are a bunch of different ways that you can can tomatoes, but today we're going to go ahead and raw pack them with adding additional liquid to the jars. According to our handy dandy ball book of home preserving, we are going to need about 21 pounds of tomatoes to do our 7-quart jars. And lucky for me, my grocery store had some. This is roughly about 24 pounds, so I think we're gonna be right on track. So the first thing that you're gonna wanna do is make sure that your jars are clean and ready. Then we're gonna go ahead and add in our lemon juice or citric acid. Today we are using citric acid, which is half a teaspoon in each quart jar. You would do a 1/4 teaspoon if you were doing pints. And then you can also go ahead and add salt, which is completely optional. I'm gonna go ahead and add salt to today's jars, and that is 1 teaspoon per quart jar, half a teaspoon for pint jars. One thing that I do need to note, in the book and in the recipes that are approved, you are supposed to peel your tomatoes. You can do this by simply dunking your tomato into a boiling pot of water for just a minute or two, taking it out and putting it right into an ice bath, and then the skins will come right off. I am personally choosing not to peel my tomatoes today, but just keep in mind that it is not approved to do this without taking the peels off. So make that decision for yourself. So let's go ahead and get all these tomatoes cut up. So the next thing you're going to do is just go ahead and fill it up with your water. And we're going for 1/2 inch head space. You're not going to need much water because there's already plenty of juice from the tomatoes themselves. And go ahead and debubble your jars. Make sure you get all those air pockets out of there. And after you have debubbled, go ahead and go through and top off any that you might need to, because taking the air bubbles out will take the water level down a bit. So make sure you're still at that 1/2 inch head space. Then go through and wipe off your rims. Make sure you don't have any debris left on there. That tomato juice, the seeds, the salt, all of that can interfere with the lid coming onto your jar properly in the process. And you go ahead and put your rings on there. Nope, just kidding. Put your lids on. Now go ahead and put your rings on. Fingertip tight. Then you're going to go ahead and put your jars into your Waterbath canner. Just got to make sure you have a rack in the bottom. And you might notice that my Waterbath canner is not hot yet. That's because we're starting out with cold jars. So you want to make sure that you start out with a cold canner as well, so they come up to temperature together instead of putting something that's cold inside of something that is hot. And it looks like I have room for 1 more jar, so I'm going to go ahead and add 1 more jar to it. Now that our canner is filled up and starting to get warm, we're going to go ahead and just wait for it to come to a full rolling boil, and then we will go ahead and move on to the next step. I still have plenty of tomatoes left over, so we're going to go ahead and take those and pressure can them. That way we're seeing the difference between water bath canning and pressure canning tomatoes all in the same day. Same thing, we're just gonna go ahead and cut them up and fill up our quart jars. Add the salt if we want to. I'm gonna go ahead and add the salt in mine. And once again, you are supposed to take your peels off if you wanna do it the approved method, but I am personally choosing not to today. So make sure you do your research before you make this decision. Now that we're all filled up, same thing with pressure canning and with water bath canning. You're going to go ahead and fill up all the areas with water. But one difference, we are going to leave 1 inch headspace when we're pressure canning instead of a 1/2 inch. You want to make sure that your liquids and your solids are all right at the 1 inch headspace. Go ahead and debubble just the same as before. After you have debubbled, make sure you double check your headspace. Top it off if necessary. Clean off your rims. Place your lids. And your rings. Make sure you have your rack at the bottom of your pressure canner. Add the appropriate amount of water according to your manual. And we're going to go ahead and put our jars in. I am starting out with cold jars, so my water and my pressure canner are also cold and they will come up to heat together. Perform your safety check. Make sure you have grease on the edge right here. Make sure there's nothing getting in the way, obstructing your vent pipe. Turn it around the correct way. And then go ahead and tighten it down. And that's it for right now. So we're gonna go ahead and wait for that to come up to heat. I'll show you when it's time for that. And we are still waiting for this guy to come up to a full boil. All right, so now that we're at a full rolling boil, we're gonna go ahead and set our timer for 45 minutes. Our timer just went off, so we just need to turn off the heat and let it come down for about 10 minutes or so before we remove our jars. And now that we have a full stream of steam coming out of our vent pipe, we are going to go ahead and set our timer for 10 minutes. And this allows for the air inside of the pressure canner to be replaced by steam. Our timer on this one is up, so we're going to go ahead and put our weight on. And then we're just going to wait for it to stop jiggling. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and take these jars out of the water bath canner. Now that we are jiggling, we're gonna go ahead and set our timer for 10 minutes. Our timer went off, so just go ahead and turn off the fire and wait for it to come down off of its pressure naturally. And that's all there is to it. And now we have 15 quart jars of diced tomatoes ready to go on the pantry shelf, and they can be used in so many different ways. Showing you both the water bath canner and the pressure canner methods shows you, I feel like it gives you options, so you can do both or either, and you can pick your favorite, or you can just go ahead and stick with both like I have. Either way, I would definitely keep diced tomatoes on your list of things to keep well stocked in your pantry. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Hamakua Homestead. I'll see you again soon.